In today's encounter, wizards and their warbands explore the ruins of a complex temple and attempt to return treasures whilst uncovering the sinister secrets of a long-forgotten god. For those unfamiliar with the game and its setting, Frostgrave is set within the ruins of the ancient city of Felstad, which due to some magical cataclysm has been locked in the grip of a permanent winter. Beneath the ice, countless treasures and knowledge is locked away, and the players take on the role of wizards and their apprentices. These wizards are driven by the pursuit of knowledge and the quest to retrieve treasures, magical items, artifacts. It's rarely gold, but frequently things like books and scrolls, artifacts and trinkets, but to them hold the keys to attaining magical power. The wizards are quite unscrupulous in their methods, and often bring with them warbands of expendable thugs, hired help, mercenaries, all of which to protect them from other warbands and from the perils of a frozen city. Buried for thousands of years beneath tons of ice, the temple is now a complete ruin. Whatever long-forgotten god this stood to, its priesthood has now long since passed, nothing more than crumbling bones and ancient whispers. The table is set up with 6 columns placed in the central area. These are placed 3 inches apart from each other, and unlike a standard game of Frostgrave, there are no treasure tokens immediately visible at the start of the game. The 2 warbands today, the Waters of the Desert and the African Wizards School, both enter from opposite table edges. They also have 2 secret agenda. The scout returned, visibly shaken by what he'd seen in the shack. He said the walls inside were covered in scrolls bearing strange images and writing. He spoke of dark powers and mumbled names found only in forbidden books. There is power and knowledge there, but you made up your mind quickly. Some things man was not meant to know. The shack must be destroyed. In addition to the scenarios contained within the book, players in Frostgrave may also draw a hidden agenda. These ulterior motives are revealed at the start of the game, or revealed during the play of the game, and have certain benefits or bonuses to the players who complete their own little side objectives whilst playing the main game. In this instance, Strike a Match, one of the thugs from the African warband, has been so traumatised by whatever images he's seen carved into the walls of a suspicious sacrilegious shed that the rest of the warband must now take turns to try and burn down this evil hut. The Waters of the Desert did not reveal their ulterior motive, instead placing 3 tokens on the table. 2 of these are red herrings, a sarcophagus and a zombie, but the 3rd is a sundial, and this will be revealed in later turns. In turn 2, the initiative passes to the African wizards. Makawi, a Thaumaturge, also casts Leap, successfully moving 10 inches towards the hut. He'll be ready to set fire to it with his next action. An African crossbowman takes a shot at the summoner wizard. Meanwhile, the summoner apprentice reveals a sundial. I'll now read the ulterior motive. Deep in the heart of the hallowed stands the temple of a long-forgotten sun god. Within that temple is a strange sundial. According to law, if you stand on that sundial at noon, your shadow will fall on a symbol describing your fate. Reading the future can be difficult and dangerous, but can also be of great value. The arcane disc at the centre of the temple, therefore, thematically ties in, and whilst these cards were randomly drawn, they almost perfectly match the terrain and the scenario played. Throughout this scenario, both players extensively used the spell Leap from the Summoner School of Magic. Although the Waters of the Desert are a pair of summoners, and Makawi is a Thaumaturge, this spell, with its 8+ casting roll, is quite a useful workhorse and very handy for getting figures moved quickly around the table, propelling them 10 inches. Whilst in turn 2 the Summoner's Apprentice had revealed the Fate Dial, it was turn 3 before he had a chance to roll on its effects. By rolling a natural 1, he revealed a terrible omen, foreshadowing his own death. Meanwhile, Makawi the Thaumaturge successfully ignited the sacrilegious shack, and the horrible hut began to burn. In turn 5, Msomi the Thaumaturge apprentice demonstrated that Leap wasn't the only way to use magic to rapidly cross the tabletop. with the Waters of the Desert's thugs preoccupied with breaking open columns for the treasure concealed within, and the summoners distracted by visions of the fate dial, Msomi successfully transposed an enemy thug with the monk Matawa. Across the table, thugs, thieves, warhounds, apothecaries and infantrymen lay into each other in a savage clash of arms, both warbands fighting furiously to retrieve treasure tokens and return them to their wizards' collections. Although briefly impeded by the fate dial, the summoner's apprentice was able to cast Wizard Eye, and would later use this to fling curses around and behind the jumble of broken walls, denying their opponents any place to hide. Whilst Msomi, the Thaumaturge apprentice, dispatched a warhound, the Waters of the Desert, true to their name, began to evaporate, leaving the table with a steady stream of treasure tokens. While Windaji, the treasure hunter, was dispatched up the right flank, and dodging the arrows of the summoner's warband, attempted to intercept treasure-carrying thugs as they slipped off of the table edge.
Okay, man-at-arms moves to there and tries to hit the thug.
So my thug plus 2,
18.
19. So your
Man-at-arms is fight plus 3, so that's 21.
and mine's also 21. It's a draw, so we both do damage.
Okay.
So a thug at 21 is killed.
In the centre, both warbands battle for the chance to unlock the complex temple's secrets. Although warhounds, spells, ferocious wild creatures and whirring arrows aren't the only threat, the temple itself is riddled with cunning traps and treacherously crumbling stonework.
Well, I pick it up.
In the scenario of the complex temple, unlocking treasure tokens requires making an opposed die roll, and Msomi the apprentice is dicing with death.
Apprentice gets killed by falling masonry.
That's the death of the apprentice.
The frozen city is a treacherous and dangerous place, and those who hope to survive there must be equally so. Although the wizards share a profession and both motivated by the pursuit of arcane knowledge and quest for magical artifacts, a fierce duel commences in the centre of the temple. In the first round of combat, it's the Thaumaturge Makawi and treasure hunter Windaji engaging the summoner. At this stage, there are 3 unclaimed treasure tokens still enshrined within the temple's columns. Turn 6's Soldier's phase sees the summoner's men back on the offensive. A thug smashes a column, claiming a 4th treasure token, whilst the ranger who dispatched the monk Matawa with his bow draws his sword to finish off the crossbow woman blinded by the summoner in turn 3. Of all the spells within a wizard's arsenal, Blinding Light and Curse are 2 of the most effective, and the summoner employs both frequently. Models who are blinded are reduced to 1-inch movement, may not shoot, attack or cast line of sight spells, allowing the spellcaster to effectively neutralise opponents' henchmen. While Windaji now finds himself facing the summoner's hired apothecary, and in a surprise twist of fate, it's the treasure hunter who loses the melee and his life. Turn 8 dramatically begins with both wizards falling in combat, effectively ending the game. In Frostgrave, wizards are powerful spellcasters, but are prudent to allow their expendable minions to get stuck in on their behalf. The summoner's apprentice now must oversee the collection and extraction of all remaining treasure tokens, whilst Makawe and Msomi are recovered by their crew. The final tally sees the Waters of the Desert crack open 6 treasure tokens, and racking up an impressive 495 experience points, whilst the summoner makes a full recovery. Meanwhile, Makawi is badly wounded, and Somi is left with psychological scars from the fruitless expedition into the complex temple.